Welcome back to the Yellow City Rundown for the week of December 1st through the 5th. We have some top stories from you from the top of the Panhandle. Some of our top stories this week include our Help for the Holidays has returned. The Texas Commission on Environmental Quality held a public meeting over Fermi's air quality permit. The city of Amarillo announced its APD police chief finalists this week as well. So the Help for the Holidays has returned. We have teamed up with Town Square Media and partnered with over 20 local nonprofit agencies to offer goods and resources. The initiative is actually collecting donations until December 7th at the old Vexus building in Wolfland Square from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. New items are only being accepted. However, there's a full list of what you can donate on myhighplains.com. Let's watch this short clip from one of our newscasts from Andy Justice and when he did a live out there, I believe from yesterday. And let's see what he had to say.
Local news leader. You're watching Andy Justice, Mari Farrell, Chief Meteorologist John Harris, the best weather anchor in the state of Texas, and Clint Brakebill Sports, the best sportscast in the state of Texas, 2 years in a row. KAMR Local 4 News at 6 continues.
It's beginning to feel a lot like Christmas, and even though our snow didn't stick around, the giving spirit is here to stay. The Help for the Holidays donation drive has moved into day 4. That's where we find KMR Local 4's Andy Justice. He's live to showcase the heart of the High Plains. Good evening, Andy. Do you have some good news for us?
Well, Mari, as a matter of fact, I do. There is no denying that Christmas is the most wonderful time of the year, and it's always better, courtesy of our good friends over at Town Square Media. I want to bring Lori Crawford in. Lori, you guys have been getting us into the Christmas spirit for years, playing Christmas music over at Mix 94.1, I think for 20 years or something now. A few years ago, you decided to give us something tangible, and that is the opportunity to give back. And this is really, Help for the Holidays has made a big impact. What are you guys stressing today in terms of what we need?
Well, since it's been so cold, since the snow came in this morning, we need cold weather items. You know, items like gloves, weatherproof gloves, blankets, long johns, just the stuff you would layer yourself in. There's neighbors here in Amarillo who live in the elements out here, and we need to make sure that they are warm and taken care of. So anything that would keep you warm, we need it.
And you're going to be dropping this off, and it's going to be so easy. You don't even have to get out of your car. All of your teammates and you yourself, as I pull up, you guys are all waiting outside for people to pull up, drop off. And so tell us where we need to go and do this and for how long.
Well, we're in Wolfland Square right now. We're in the old Vexus building, which is really right off the I-40 access road just past Georgia. We're here until about 7 o'clock tonight, and then we'll be here 7 to 7 through Sunday night.
And we're not asking for anything big, just the little things. As you're going in and you're doing the normal shopping at Walmart or United or wherever else, just pick up a few things extra, put it in the bag, drop by and see us. We appreciate you, Lori, so much for doing what you guys do. And again, this is day 4 and year 4. All right, well, keep it up. Get out here and make a difference. We're just off the I-40 frontage road, again, over here in the Wolfland area. Come check us out. In the meantime, we'll send it back into the studio with Mari.
Andy, thank you so much. If you would like to help, check out the donation wish list on our website, myhighplains.com.
Local news leader. You're watching.
What a great live that was, looking at what they are doing out there. Our next top story from this week is actually a pretty important one for the moving forward for Fermi America. It was from the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, and they held a public meeting this week over their proposed air quality standard permit. The permit would authorize them a construction of power generation facility located approximately 10 miles northeast of Amarillo along U.S. Highway 60. The full interview between us and Texas Commission on Environmental Quality is on myhighplains.com. Maya Clark, our reporter, did that. However, we can look at a short little clip over what the public meeting was and how it turned out from one of our newscasts last night.
The Texas Commission on Environmental Quality is hosting a public meeting in Carson County this evening.
TCEQ says that the community will have the chance to ask the commission and officials from Fermi questions in regards to their new air quality standard permit. which the TCEQ says would authorize Fermi to construct an electric generating plant here in the Panhandle. The meeting began at 7 and is expected to last until midnight tonight.
And that was it for that little short clip there. But we can look at a full interview on myhighplains.com again, and also all of our full coverage of Fermi and all of our back coverage of what this project has become. Moving on to our next story for the week, the city of Amarillo announced the APD chief finalists, and they also had a community meeting where community members could come together and meet and greet with the finalists. The finalists include Thomas Hoover, Jimmy Johnson, and Greg Stevens. We have full bios and also short speeches / interviews from that night on myhighplains.com. However, let's listen to a short clip on how that meeting and how that public meet and greet turned out.
Today at Amarillo City Hall, a meet the finalist was held for Amarillo Police Department's next chief of police.
That story is part of our Democracy 2025 coverage tonight. Since February, Interim Chief of Police Jimmy Johnson has served in the position following the retirement of former Police Chief Martin Birkenfeld after he wrote a letter in his personal time in the sentencing of Cole Underwood. The former Perryton athletic director was sentenced to prison for sexual contact with a 15-year-old. In July, the city hired a search firm to conduct a national search to find the next finalist and had a survey for residents to share what they wanted to see from the next chief. In late November, the city announced the 3 finalists as APD Interim Chief of Police Jimmy Johnson, Irving Assistant Chief of Police Thomas Hoover, and Executive Director Greg Stevens. Today, the 3 were able to meet the community and share their vision for APD and hear from the community. Johnson, who has over 30 years of municipal law experience, has focused on community engagement, professional standards, and evidence-based policing as interim chief and his previous role as assistant chief. Tonight, Johnson was visibly emotional, sharing it was his lifelong dream to be an Amarillo police officer, saying it's not just a career, but his calling.
Amarillo is my home. This police department, I grew up in this police department. I love the men and women that work in this police department, and I love the men and women and families of our community out here. I'm not interested in being a police chief. I'm interested in being the Amarillo Police Department chief.
Assistant Chief of Police for Irving Police Department, Thomas Hoover, has over 25 years of progressive experience and has focused on community policing, officer wellness, and currently oversees field operations and specialized bureaus for IPD. Hoover says Amarillo is the place he wants to be, and in the first 100 days, he'd spend time listening.
Right? Not just within the organization itself, but also the other directors and community members. Right? I think over time I can build a good 3 to 5 year plan, but that's going to take a couple months to get that done. But the biggest part, what I want to do is not come in with any preconceived notions or ideas. The idea is to understand and listen.
The final candidate is Greg Stevens, who is currently the Executive Director for Texas Commission on Law Enforcement. Stevens was formerly the Chief of Police for Lubbock and Rockport Police Departments. Stevens is an Amarillo native who says he's always wanted to work for APD, and his statewide experience has made him uniquely qualified.
Going out across the state of Texas and seeing best practices with the police department, sheriff's offices, law enforcement agencies out across the state, and that's valuable experience. Also seen some poor practices, right? But really been able to see best practices across the state and be able to bring that with me back to Amarillo.
All 3 candidates say the chief position is a 24/7, 365 days a year position. In July, city officials shared they'd like to have a final candidate selected in December or January, depending on if it's someone internal or an outside candidate. To see more from the finalists in our previous coverage of the search for finding the next chief, go to myhighplains.com.
And we, again, have full interviews with all of the candidates, so you can get a footing about each of the candidates and their backstory. We are going to take a quick and short break, and we will be right back. Welcome back to the L City Rundown. We are moving on to our Panhandle Planner of the Week, and this week we have some pretty exciting things coming up for around the Panhandle, despite it being the holidays. We have the West Texas A&M University Alumni Association is launching its annual Fuel the Herd Fest on October 8th. And then the Emerald City Council is having its regularly scheduled meeting on December 9th. Some of the highlights I noticed was Wonderland and possibly some other small things going on around the city. As always, we'll be streaming that on myhighplains.com. And then the Northside Toy Drive this week is having its annual drive on December 12th. The theme this year is Black Tie Affair. And today on our Route 66 Rewind, we have some great stories here today. So one of them actually I thought was really interesting. A poultry show was going to be hosted and brought to Amarillo during the Tri-State Poultry Show. Apparently they had about 1,500 chickens to be showed, and they were prize chickens. I wonder how it turned out. The second one really shows that Amarillo was starting to get into the festive season. It was talking about Christmas decorations popping up around Amarillo. Specifically, a company was talking about putting up Christmas decorations and lights and all that stuff. And some other things included, like, letters were being sent from children to St. Nicholas for to get those Christmas presents from Santa. And other Christmas plans were being made throughout the city in the article, and I thought it was really cool and fitting for this time of year as we are also getting ready for Christmas. From our weather watch from Chief Meteorologist John Harris, we are looking for a warm Saturday with temperatures in the 50s to mid-60s. However, Sundays we're probably expected to have about mid-40s in the temperatures. No rain or snow is to be expected as of December 5th, today. However, a slightly warmer week is to be expected as of today from December 8th through the December 10th. And that's the end for Yellow City Rundown this week. I hope to see you back next week for December, I believe, 8th through the 12th, I think. We should be covering City Council and other important stories next week to whatever pops up. Thanks, guys.